Welcome to Vacuum Wars. Today, I'm excited to introduce a new series that we're testing out, where we'll be revisiting robot vacuums that we've highly recommended in the past and thoroughly investigating common issues that users have reported with those products. By researching complaints on Amazon, Reddit, and various forums, we'll identify reoccurring problems and, whenever possible, provide practical solutions to those problems. For this episode, I want to dive into the complaints about a robot vacuum that up until a few days ago, when it was finally dethroned, ranked number 1 on the Vacuum Wars Top 20 robot vacuum list on our website, and one that I've been using in my house for several weeks since our initial review, the Ecovacs X9 Omni. But this report can also apply to the Ecovacs T80 and to a certain degree the T50 series, since all of these recent Ecovacs products have very similar hardware and software. And these latest Ecovacs products all seem to suffer from various issues related to navigation, especially during the mapping process, and this is something that I experienced at my house too, and thankfully found a solution for. Users online complain of the X9 or T80 not making a correct map, or the map will be skewed or incomplete. In addition, several users have complained about the robot getting lost, not returning to its base correctly, taking odd routes, not cleaning certain rooms, or just doing odd things. I experienced this as well when I used it at my own house. The map it made was bad, though you couldn't tell that it was bad from just looking at it. The way its bad map manifested was that the robot just didn't seem to know what it was doing. It would be erratic, it would not return to its base correctly. It was a mess in lots of different ways. I almost put out an emergency Vacuum Wars video saying that I was sorry for ever recommending the X9 or T80. Clearly its navigation is bad and please don't buy it. I suspected that the root issue of these navigation problems was a bad map, and so I deleted the map and remapped the floor plan, but it still had issues. But what did end up working for me was that I turned the robot physically off and then on again and then remapped, and that seemed to have resolved the problem of its bad navigation and not returning to its base in my case. That was several weeks ago, and since then it's gone on 15 successful missions of about 50 minutes each without getting stuck, and it returned to its base perfectly, except for one occasion where it seemed to just stop for no reason in front of a table leg and declare itself to be stuck. In that case, I just had to push the button to start it again and it was fine and it completed the run. But that exact same thing was something that I noticed with the T80 in our initial review and mentioned it there, and I have no idea what it's all about. So I hope that with most navigation problems people are experiencing, rebooting or even doing a hard reset and then remapping will help some people resolve this issue. All that being said, the navigation on these new internal LiDAR robot vacuums, like with the new Ecovacs models, is not my favorite, and I feel like it's a downgrade from the more simple top-mounted LiDAR systems, even if they work as intended. It's also good to look and see if there are any firmware updates in the app that you could download. Ecovacs could release fixes for some of these issues. If all else fails, you can call support or return the robot, and I'll link the Ecovacs support information in the description. Another common issue with the Ecovacs roller mops, such as the X9, T80, or some of the T50 models, is mopping streaks. In the case of the X9 or T80, users report the mop leaving behind these oddly patterned dry streak lines. This is something that I also noticed in my house early on. For me, the issue was resolved by adding the included mopping solution to the tank in the X9. Before this, I was mopping with only water. Once I added the solution to the solution tank and ran it a few more times, I stopped seeing these streaks. Something else may have played a role in the resolution of this problem. For example, I also switched from using quick navigation to standard navigation, which makes the spaces between its paths closer and slower. So it could have been that or the mopping solution issue, or a combination of both things that resolved the streaks issue for me. Interestingly, the Reddit post that mentions this streaking issue is for the T80, which is like the X9 in most ways, but the T80 doesn't have a mopping solution tank. So if you want to add mopping solution, you have to add it directly to the water. And indeed, the Ecovacs users in the comments say for them the issue was also resolved by adding a cap of mopping solution to the water tank itself. However, don't add too much solution or you might get a sudsy mess. Some users reported that their mop was putting out too much water and leaving behind suds, so it could be that they used too much solution. Some users suggested that they should turn down the water levels in the app, which may work, but because in our tests the X9 and T50s didn't put out too much water on low or their high water settings. So I suspect that there's another more rare problem in the case of the robot leaving large amounts of water behind, and I would contact support. Another issue that people complain about is related to the app. In general, the app is pretty user-friendly, but the initial mapping is far less easy to understand than with competitor apps, but particularly with the map editing. So when you split and merge rooms and adjust walls, etc., it's pretty tedious and glitchy. One user said, quote, "Mapping is a challenge, interior walls are hidden, and it takes a lot of trial and error to divide rooms. I also experienced this and it was part of my initial frustration. Unfortunately, though, there's no fix. You just need to spend more time than usual setting up your map. And unfortunately, it's probably not very easy to figure out for new users who have never set up a map before, and so they may just give up." There were a few other less common complaints with the latest Ecovacs products, but these were by far the most common. No robot is perfect, and there are going to be issues like this, unfortunately. I hope that this new format and our new commitment to really doing deep research into what kind of issues users are having will help consumers be more informed. And maybe if you're having issues, use the comment section of this video to talk to other Ecovacs users, and maybe you can find some solutions together. All of the links in the description are updated regularly to reflect our current favorite vacuums in multiple categories. You'll also find links to the Vacuum Wars website in the description, where we have more detailed lists of our favorite products, like our new top 20 robot vacuums list, which is updated weekly.